Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of our Bird Story Circle, which is now online. And as you know, we are doing this so that we can hear some real bird stories from people who have experienced it themselves recently. So we have with us today Lily or Liane, and she is a new mom. Her second child is 3 months old now, and she's going to tell us about how her birth experience has been in Delhi. So, Lily, if you can first tell us something about yourself.
Hi everyone, so I'm Lily, I'm 40 years old. I've been living in Delhi now for the past 15 years. And yeah, I've been with my partner 6 years. We have a first child who's now 3.5, Onyx, and then so I just gave birth 3 months ago to Indy. Apart from that, I'm into the textile and fashion industry. Let's say I have a small brand of fashion accessories, which I sell in shops in India, on my website, and abroad also, which I kind of do this more part-time since my first child. And yeah, I'm passionate about everything about India and its crafts and its textiles, and I'm very happy to be living
Lovely.
in
Thank
India.
you so much. And so maybe we can start from the time you conceived for the second time. And what was it like when you came to know you were having another baby? What were the memories from your earlier experience that came back? What was your early pregnancy like? And what were you looking for this time to be different, if so?
Yeah, so I got pregnant, let's say last year, I think end of April. So we wanted to have a second child, but we wanted to wait a bit of time after our first one. So Onyx was just going to was 2.5, I guess. So we were very, very happy to be pregnant. I remember my last pregnancy, the whole pregnancy was quite easy. I mean, not so much sick. The first 3 months, a bit of nausea, but then after that stopped, and I was, doing quite a bit of yoga, and I didn't have any major issues doing that. But I decided to give birth in my hometown in Belgium because it was over the summer. And so I went 3 months before my delivery date to Belgium. And the delivery process was, for me, I mean, I wanted to prepare in Belgium, but I moved quite a bit. So I had a month where I wanted to prepare, find a doula, but Onyx came 21 days early, so I didn't have time to prepare as well. And actually the birth was not so easy because once I was put on that bed, it was very difficult to connect with the whole process. So that's why I really wanted to do things differently with this birth. This time, few months I had nausea, and then I had a lot of at 4 or 5 months of when I used to have something here, like I'm always hungry. I don't know what's it called. I don't know. I always had a point in my stomach here, which was not comfortable for full months, and that was quite difficult. But that lasted a month, and then I got some kind of viral fever at 5 months or so. That was quite intense. I was not too worried being pregnant, but it took a few weeks, a month to get over it. But thankfully, then towards the end of my pregnancy, we spent 2 months in Goa, which was something I really wanted to do, to kind of be able to enjoy and relax before I gave birth and have two children in the house. So we did that, and I came back to Delhi to give birth kind of a month before, and that's where I met with Neha.
So how did you plan for this birth? How did you want it to be different in any way? Did you learn something from the previous experience that you wanted to try and do differently this time?
Yes, I wanted to prepare. I mean, the first time I was more thinking of preparing physically. So I was doing yoga, which I used to do before, and I was doing it more of that. But this time I really wanted to be prepare more uh, my body, but more is my mind and body connection. And I really wanted to learn about the hypnobirthing and just, how to understand the process, not only physically, but the whole uh, the whole process of giving birth, and how do you say, enjoying it or accepting it, or embracing the birth, and just to be me really confident about it, and just to realize something natural, so it shouldn't be so difficult and scary.
That's wonderful.
um,
I remember that the first time when we met, and the thing that I remember very distinctly was that you said that the last time at some point in your labor, you felt out of control. You felt like things were being done to you, and you weren't able to decide how you wanted to progress, whether it was the position in which you were lying, whether it was the way you were bringing the baby down. So I think that was your biggest concern. You wanted to be more in control. You of
yeah.
course wanted the birth to go as naturally as possible, but you wanted to be able to own the birth more this
Yeah,
time.
and to be more aware of what's happening to me, because that I remember it was that once I was lying on that table, before I was, there was contractions, surges, and it was overwhelming, but I could feel. Once I would put on the table, I couldn't feel anything, and they would tell me to push, and I didn't know what to push, how to push. It was not even hurting so much, it was just my back was painful of being exhausted, but it was just I was so disconnected.
That's
So
right.
I really do want, I want to be connected with the process. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So how was this birth experience like? Tell us a little bit about the story.
So the birth experience. So yeah, I really wanted to. I would just a few weeks, a month before, I was, training about the different breathing techniques to help me not be overwhelmed by the birth process, the pain, or the contraction. So that's what really I focused only on that mostly. I did a couple of yoga things, but really not. And so yeah, as per the due date, he came just a few days before. It happened in the night, same as Onyx, also on a Sunday, on a Saturday night, Sunday morning. And it was very slow contractions. And I actually slept over them the beginning, which were every 20 minutes, half an hour, I think. And after 3-4 hours, that's when they were getting a bit stronger and closer together quite quickly, like 7-8 minutes. That's when contacted Neha to say, I think it's happening. I mean, it was already going to happen. And she told me, you told me to try and relax and just, look at what was happening. And I took a shower, and it kind of made me relax more. But then after one point, it was every 5 minutes, and it was still manageable, but I was like, I'm again going to be too late at the hospital. So we left, was 6:30. So let's say it started at 12, something. Arrived there before 7, and Neha was not there yet because she came from Noida. And I arrived there. I was supposed to do a water birth, but I arrived and the water was cold. But I was really just focused on breathing and managing my contraction, which was getting stronger and stronger. So I was in that room, and then the strong contractions started, and I was the whole time standing. And really holding myself each time, standing and putting my hands on the bed to kind of hold myself for each contraction, or on my husband. And then the big contractions started coming. I could feel, my opening, and suddenly the water broke. Actually, I wasn't sure if the baby had popped out or it was just the water broke like a big balloon burst. And that was really a surprise. But so it just broke at that time. And then I think few contractions later, so at that point I climbed on the bed and I was again holding myself on my husband, and then Neha suggested to try and squat. And so I did that on the bed, and then I lie on my husband and I was squatting, and the head came out, and then it came back again, it came back inside and again, and then I think the next or second contraction, big push, and the baby came out. But it was not painful. Contraction were painful, but the whole process of the baby coming out was quite amazing, actually. I remember after the baby came out, I was for 20 minutes, couldn't believe it, what had happened. And what I remember is also I could really feel this contraction inside of me, and I could really embrace them. And even though the breathing was probably, I was doing 10% of what I knew to do, but at least I could stay focused and really, feel these contractions, and also I was very confident that everything was going well. And yeah.
So I think that is the key word. You were always so confident and calm and relaxed, and you knew that you were going to be able to do it. And which is why you labored at home through the night so well, in your own environment, had showers, did whatever you needed to. And you forgot to mention that when you reached the hospital, you were fully dilated, which which the doctor was surprised, because usually women come in at an earlier stage in the labor, but you were doing fine. You coped so well. You reached fully dilated. You were ready to bring the baby out, and which is why there was no time to fill the water. And so there was no water birth that was going to happen. But I remember that when I came in and I saw you, you were so into yourself. You were so, it was a completely natural birth. There was nobody doing anything. Everyone was just standing by you and supporting you, and your husband was beautifully holding your whole body weight, and it was almost like he and you together were giving birth to that baby. And it happened in, I think, like another half an hour or so from the time hospital, a total of one and a half hour, not more.
8:25 was the birth, and I arrived at 7 something.
And he came out and he came right onto your skin. And I remember the way he himself latched on, like a really strong, good latch.
Very strong, sucking, and that was also something really I wanted to do, to at least as long as possible to come on me, even though I know they would take him for a few minutes and give it back. I really wanted him to be at least 20-30 minutes on me, latched on one for 10-15 minutes and then the other 10-15 minutes. And that was really nice also, because my first birth, the breastfeeding was a bit more difficult.
I think that's a great example of how, when the baby is allowed time skin to skin right after birth and is initiating the latch and the breastfeeding on their own, that significantly reduces your breastfeeding challenges afterwards. I mean, not to say that there aren't any, but the baby's figured it out on his own. So he is a lot more confident in being able to breastfeed well. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So can you also tell us a little bit about your postpartum journey? What was that like, the early days in the hospital and when you came back home and after? How has that been different from what you expected?
Yes, so when I got home, the first 2 days, the first 2 nights, we couldn't, he would sleep, wake, I don't remember, but he would cry a lot and we didn't know to appease him. And after we met with you and Livia, you just told me, just be with him. And it's not that we were not with him, it's just that we thought, there was a moment for him to sleep, a moment for him to be with us, but he was just a few days old and he just needed a bit more of this kind of oneness, I guess, or with us. And as soon as we spoke with you, then everything.
No, and I think basically all you needed was that reassurance. You were already, you had already figured it out. You were responding to what he needed to, but you
Mm.
were doubting whether you are doing it right or not, and you just
Yeah.
needed someone to tell you that, someone to talk to, and someone to tell you that you've got it, that what you're doing is working,
Yeah.
and just literally giving a mirror to you. And once you
Yeah.
see that you figured it out, then you get that confidence to carry on.
Yeah, I remember I was saying like, oh yeah, I know that, I know that, and I just needed to go through the things with you. But that's I feel for everything with Indy, with, so his name is Indy, and life in general is, and for me, I guess my character, it's like it's when I'm not assured or confident about something, then everything kind of the baby, the people feel it around me, and I think that's all about life. Since he's 3 months, he's a bit more, buff, quite buff, and he's really easy. I think once we had a bit of, I think, colic for like 2 weeks when he was, I don't remember, a month, 2 months. That was pretty intense. It was every night, just an hour or two maximum. But this hour or two was a bit difficult. But we knew we were just hoping it was not going to be for weeks and weeks. And then after that, there's been we had a week which was very easy, and then his teething started, and so he couldn't sleep properly. Then that is over, and now, I mean, I know that once he feeds well and he sleeps well, he's very easy. So and he actually goes to bed quite early, like 7:30, 8:30, wakes up 2 3 times in the night, and wake up at 6 7 7:30. And he actually it's like, it's difficult because now I want to control the time, but I shouldn't. I need to listen to him because he has his own routine, and I want to make the routine because, especially since COVID-19, it's and no help at home, it's been quite hectic.
Yeah.
And you want to organize the time, but you can't, and I just have to relax.
So, what I find really interesting about the postpartum period is that when we are in the middle of it, we feel a bit overwhelmed. Oh my God, my baby isn't sleeping. The baby is crying so much. What do I do? He wants to feed all the time. And I remember you called me once or twice when you were in
Mhm.
that phase. And then
Yeah.
you just slow it down and let it pass. And when you zoom out, you say, oh, it wasn't that bad. It was just 1 or 2 nights. So I think that's a
Overwhelming.
great lesson for a lot of new moms, that it is not hard all the time. Yes, there are days when it will be hard, when you won't get to sleep well, when your baby will cry a lot, when baby wants
Mm.
to suckle all the time or something. And then you just stay with that, overcome that, and it goes
Yeah.
away, and then something else comes. So that's, I think, really interesting.
Yeah.
That was great. Thanks so much for sharing your story. I'm sure a lot of people will listen to it